Hello everyone, my name is Adeeba and I'm a student of Govt High Medical College. This is part 3 of plant kingdom that we are going to cover. We have already covered green algae and basic introduction of plant kingdom and its characteristic features, the importance of why do we need to characterize plant into different categories and different basic identifiable characters. We have also studied about all the three algae that are brown algae, red algae, and green algae. So, in this part, we are going to cover brown algae. We have done a small portion of brown algae in the previous lecture as well. In this, we will just quickly go through the points which we have already discussed, and then we will discuss about the important brown algae, some important brown algae, the plant, and its importance. So brown algae, we know it is called as Phaeophyceae. Phaeos is brown and phyton is plant. You know, it is a Greek term, Greek derived term. Okay. So brown algae comprises of a group of about 2000 species, mostly marine. We know that brown algae is mostly marine or it is present in brackish water and very few brown algae is present in freshwater. Freshwater brown algae as well as red algae, they both are not freshwater. Whereas green algae, we can find some green algae in freshwater as well. So, general characters of the brown algae, they are mostly marine, found in shallow water in the tidal zone up to the depth of 15 meters. So, the brown algae, they are not that deep. We can't find them in a depth. So they are usually shallow. Wherever there is shallow water, we might find some brown algae in that particular water. And the depth that they have stated is approximately 15 meters. Most of the brown algae are found in cooler seas, whereas the red algae that we have studied, it is found mainly in the warmer areas. But the brown algae, it is found in cooler seas. Sargassum, a warm water form. There are some exceptions. Usually, brown algae is found in cooler seas, but except sargassum, which is found in warm water forms, and it covers thousands of hectares in the Sargasso Sea in the North Atlantic Ocean. This information is not that useful there, but the information which is useful is that brown algae are mostly found in cooler areas. So, brown algae mostly found in cooler areas, but sargassum, it is a warm water form. So if a question is asked that which brown algae is a warm water algae, so we can say that it is sargassum. The thallus consists of a branched filamentous structure in lower forms, example ectocarpus, parenchymatous structure in higher forms, example sargassum, laminaria, fucus, and macrocystis. So what they're trying to say is that thallus can be of two forms. It can be either branched filamentous or it can be parenchymatous. So branched filamentous form, it is found in ectocarpus, and parenchymatous structure, it is found in higher plants. And the examples for higher plants is sargassum, laminaria, fucus, and macrocystis. Okay, so brown algae, it is a Greek derived term which composed of phaeos, brown, and phyton, which is plant, and they comprise of group about 2000 species. They are mostly marine, and some of the general characteristics is that they are mostly found in shallow water and in cooler areas. But there is one brown algae which is present in warm water, that is sargassum. And thallus can be of two types. One is branched filamentous, which is found in lower plants, that is ectocarpus, whereas parenchymatous is found in higher plants, that is sargassum, laminaria, fucus, and macrocystis. In some brown algae, the plant body is divided into following parts. One is lamina, or leaf-like photosynthetic parts provided with air bladder for floating. So this frond, the definition for frond is actually written here, that lamina or frond or lamina, they both are the same thing. Frond or lamina, it is a leaf like this. In this diagram, we can see that it is something leaf like photosynthetic part provided with air bladder. Sometimes there are few air bladders are also present in order to help this lamina of front to float in the water. Can like just something looks like stem, and we never say that this is a stem. We always use the term stem like, root like, or leaf like structure. Leaf like structure is frond or lamina, stem like structure is type, and root like structure is holdfast. Why like is used? Because the plant body is not differentiated. It is only the aggregate of cells. There is no differentiation of labor present in these kind of plants. So holdfast attaches the filament to the rock. This holdfast helps the filament to attach to rock. So some of the brown algae form massive seaweeds called kelp. So I have a picture that this we can say that it is a massive seaweed, and this seaweed is called as kelp. We usually say that Theophysi, they are normally 15 meters long, but there are some massive forms of Theophysi also present, and one of them is kelp. Laminera reaches up to 2 to 9 meters in length, so they can vary from 2 to 9 meters to even 60 to 90 meters, such as in macrocystis. Most of the brown algae are found attached to the rocks and are called as lithophytes. When the plant is attached to rocks, it is called as lithophytes. Few are epiphytes or endophytes. Epiphytes and endophytes means that they are dependent on other plants. They are extracting their nutrition. They are taking their. They are not able to perform their own photosynthesis, and that is the reason why they are extracting the nutrition from another plant. So these type of plants are termed as epiphytes. So if someone asks that which form of plants are epiphytes among the algae, that is red algae, brown algae, and green algae, so we can say that it is Theophysi, that is brown algae. Some are, or some Theophysi, they are epiphytes as well. Whereas some are free floating, that is sargassum and fucus. So then the cell wall is double layered. Inner layer is made up of cellulose, whereas the outer layer is thick mucilaginous. It is formed by phycocolloids. The common phycocolloids are alginic acid and fucinic acid. So the cell wall, it is double layered. You can say that the inner layer is formed of cellulose like all the plants, whereas the outer layer, it is formed of mucilaginous covering. So the inner layer is cellulose and the outer layer is mucilaginous coating. This coating is made up of phycocolloids, and the common phycocolloids are acid and fucinic acid. So the cells are particularly double layered. One, the inner layer that is made up of cellulose, whereas the outer layer it is made up of a mucilaginous covering or coating that is made up of phycocolloids. And what phycocolloids are being used? Those are fucinic acid or alginic acid. Phycocolloids serve two functions. Now, why there was a need for covering the cell with a double layer? It can also survive with a single layer with cellulose, where like all the other plants survive. So what was the need that the double layered cells were required? So I have already told you that whenever mucilaginous coating is mentioned, it has the main two functions. The first function is that in order to prevent the plant from drying or desiccation, the mucilaginous coating is used, and the other is in order to prevent the cell from getting washed away or roughed away or getting ruptured. So it protects the cell from injury. So prevent drying or freezing in winter when the algae are exposed to air as during low tide. So whenever there is low tide, so in order to prevent in order to prevent the plant from drying or desiccation, the double wall layer of mucilaginous coating is present. And second is to protect the cell from injury. It will also protect the cell from any further injury that might be caused because of wear or tear or any other consequences. Photosynthetic organelles or chromatophores contain chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and carotenes and xanthophyls. We have already learned that table which was present, and it stated that the pigments that are present are chlorophyll A and B, carotenes, and xanthophylls. And the brown color of these algae is due to the presence of xanthophylls, that is fucoxanthin. The color which is provided to these algae is always due to some other pigment other than chlorophyll. When that pigment is present in the plant, it masks the pigment chlorophyll, the green color which is provided, and another color appears. So it masks the green color of the chlorophyll and gives brown color to the plant. Reserved food is in the form of laminarin, mannitol, and fat-like substances. So reserved food, usually it is in normal plant, it is in the form of starch. But in Theophyceae, it is in the form of laminarin, mannitol, and fat-like substances. Now, there are some reflectile white-colored fucosin vesicles that are also present in the cells, and these vesicles contain phenolic chemical called fucosin. So, if a question is asked that which plant is associated with fucosin, so we can say that it is Phaeophyce. And what is fucosin? It is a white-colored fucosin vesicle that is present in the cell. Question 12. Vegetative reproduction occurs by fragmentation of the thallus. When a thalloid body is present, sometimes it just there is a fragment formed. Now, this fragment can easily give rise to another plant body, and this type of reproduction is vegetative reproduction. Whenever there is involvement of spores or gametes, that reproduction is sexual reproduction. But when there is not an involvement of gametes or spores, that type of reproduction that is called as vegetative reproduction. And vegetative reproduction is very helpful because it helps in the plant, because it helps the plant to grow rapidly, whereas the formation of gametes, the formation of spores, it takes time for a new plant to develop. Asexual reproduction takes place either by motile biflagellated zoospores or by non-motile monotraspores. So, asexual reproduction is mainly due to production of spores. We need to remember that. And it can be the characteristic way, that is motile flagellated, motile biflagellated zoospores. We know that the spores of Phaeophyceae, they were motile and they had biflagella. That means two flagella were present. So one is motile biflagellated zoospores, second is non-motile spores, and third is tetraspores. So there can be formation of three types of spores by the help of which asexual reproduction takes place. One is motile biflagellated zoospores, and this is the characteristic way. It means that it is always present in every type of Phaeophyceae. Whereas the second form is non-motile monospores, and third is tetraspores. The motile spores have two unequal flagella. We know that the motile spores, they have unequal flagella. 14. Sexual reproduction may be of anisogamous or oogamous type. Isogamous means that there is the fusion of either two non-motile spores or two motile gametes, either non-motile or two motile gametes of the same size and structure. That is known as isogamous. In anisogamous, one is the motile or the other one, and the other one is non-motile. So, motile and non-motile. The fusion between one motile or non-motile, or both the gametes are non-motile, but one is small and the other one is large. There is difference in size. So this type of fusion of the gametes is termed as an isogamous type of fusion, and the reproduction is termed as an isogamous form of sexual reproduction. Whereas in oogamous, the female is always large and non-motile, whereas the male, it is always small and motile. So this is female and this is male, motile and small, non-motile and large. Where the oogamous type of reproduction, it is the precursor of the reproduction that takes place in all the advanced beings. That is in all the beings of the plant kingdom. So the evolution which was taking place was taking the isogamous type of reproduction into the oogamous type of. In humans, we know that oogamous type of reproduction takes place because the female egg, it is large and motile, whereas the sperm, it is very small, and the egg is large and non-motile, whereas the sperm is very small and motile. So sexual reproduction may be of three types. One is isogamous, the second one is anisogamous, and the third one is oogamous type. 15. Many of the brown algae exhibit alternation of generations. In Ectocarpus and Dictyota, life cycle is isomorphic with both haploid and diploid generations similar in structure. They are saying that in Dictyota, life cycle is isomorphic. That means in haploid generation. Diploid, that is 2n, it goes to haploid. We say that 2n, this is diploid and this is haploid. So from 2n to n occurs by meiosis, by reduction division. And by the help of mitosis, we know that from N to 2N occurs. So the change from haploid to diploid, which occurs either the way by meiosis or mitosis, this is known as alternation of generation, which takes place in most of the plants, most of the lower plants, that is algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, and in Dictyota, the life cycle is isomorphic with both haploid and diploid generation. That means it has both N and 2N generation, which are similar in structure. Whereas usually the haploid and the diploid generations are not usually similar in structure. We can identify them by change in the structure. But in Dictyota, it is isomorphic. And by isomorphic, it means that it is similar in structure. We cannot differentiate haploid to diploid generations. Whereas in Fucus and Sargassum, sporophyte is large. So this in Sargassum, now it is an isomorphic. Sporophyte is large and dominant, and gametophyte is represented as only by the haploid gametes. It means that sporophyte is large. This is 2n, and in Sargassum, 2n is large and dominant, whereas the gametophyte, that is n, it is represented by only small gametes. So when we can identify just on the basis that what kind of structure the plant body is having in its haploid and diploid phase, and we can differentiate between haploid and diploid phase just on the basis of the structure, we can say that the plant is anisomorphic. And by anisomorphic, it means the size, morphology of the plant in haploid and diploid state is different. So the vegetative reproduction occurs in the Phaeophyceae by fragmentation of the thallus. And the asexual reproduction, we know that there are three types of reproduction that take place. First is the asexual, first is the vegetative reproduction, second is the asexual, and third is the sexual one. We know that vegetative reproduction occurs by fragmentation, or the vegetative reproduction, what we see in potato and the tubers, we see that the eye of the potato, we just pull out the eye and plant it in soil and it grows into another plant. So this type of reproduction is called as vegetative reproduction, which does not involve the formation of any of the gametes or the spores. But in asexual reproduction, there is production of spores, and the production of spores, it takes time. The production of gametes, it takes time. Whereas vegetative reproduction, it does not take any time. So vegetative reproduction is very good in the form that it helps in spreading. It helps in increasing in the population of the plant. Whereas asexual and sexual type of reproduction helps in bringing two different kind of plants together. So in asexual reproduction, it might either take place by motile flagellated zoospores or by non-motile monospores or by tetraspores. And motile biflagellated zoospores, the flagella is always unequal. And when the flagella is unequal, we can say that this is the characteristic feature of the Phaeophyceae. And the sexual reproduction is always going to take place by the gametes. And the type of gamete, the morphology of gamete is going to define that under which category of the sexual reproduction we are putting it in. It can either be isogamous, or anisogamous or oogamous. So isogamous is when the two same two similar morphological structures of the gametes are going to fuse together. That is termed as isogamous. It can either be non-motile when both the gametes are non-motile but same in size, or they can be motile but same in size. Whereas anisogamous, either one is motile or non-motile, or the other, that one is larger in size and the other one is smaller in size. And when we mix up both the characteristic feature of the anisogamous, we get oogamous, that the female is non-motile and large, and the male is small and motile. And we also got to know about the alternation of generation. That means the plant body is converts itself from 2n to n regularly by the help of mitosis or meiosis. And this alternation of generation can be isomorphic or anisomorphic. Isomorphic when we cannot differentiate that on the basis of structure that the plant is either haploid or diploid. And this, the example for this is fucus, whereas sargassum, that is anisomorphic, like most of the other plants which exhibit alternation of generation. And sargassum, the sporophytic body, that is large and dominant, whereas the gametophyte, it is represented only by the small gamete. Now, some brown algae, we can say that most of the brown algae, they have, like all the other algae, they have frond, or we also term it as lamina type, that is stem-like structure, and holdfast is root-like structure, by the help of which the plant body attaches itself to the rock. The air bladder are also present. We know that what is the importance of air bladder? To help the plant body to float. Sometimes midrib is also present, like in fucus, midrib is present. Frond, it is also what is the importance of frond? It helps. It is a photosynthetic organ. Leaf and holdfast. It does not have type, whereas in Dictyota, frond and type are present. Okay, so these are some diagram of the laminaria, fucus, and Dictyota, some common brown algae. We will study each and every brown algae in detail. Common brown algae, sargassum. Sargassum, it is also called as skullweed. Okay? It is a perennial marine brown alga found in Sargasso Sea. We know that this is a perennial marine. They are marine. They are found in Sargasso Sea, and they cover hectares of it in the Sargasso Sea. They are either floating freely or they're attached by the holdfast. So this is holdfast. Its size varies from 30 centimeter to 7 meter. It means that there is not a fixed size for sargassum. It can either be 30 centimeter or it can be very long as 7 meters. The plant body is differentiated into holdfast, main axis, and lateral. So there is a holdfast, there is a main axis, there are laterals present, and this whole is called as thallus. We know that the whole body of the algae is called as thallus. The laterals, they are leaf-like short laterals. So these are leaf-like laterals. They appear to have petiole and midrib and carry air bladder. So they look like there's a holdfast and there is main axis, and then there are laterals. And these laterals then further bear other laterals that are termed as leaves. That is the main reason why it seems like they have petiole and this is midrib. But in actual, they do not have petiole and midrib. And these laterals might also have some air bladders. And the importance of air bladder is to provide buoyancy. When buoyancy is provided, these leaf-like structures are going to float. And when they float in the tide, it helps in photosynthesis. Very obvious that the plant needs to float in the water in order to obtain sunlight from the surface of the sea. But if air bladder is absent, what will happen that due to absence of buoyancy, the leaves, the laterals, they will sink down. And when they sink down, they would not get the appropriate amount of sunlight which is important for photosynthesis, and thus they will probably die. So the presence of air bladder is very important for the basic survival of these plants. And these air bladders are called as pneumatocytes. What are they called as? Pneumatocytes. These air bladders in their axil. They help the plant body to float on the water surface. We know the importance of the air bladder. It helps the plant body to float in water surface. No, sargassum is a sporophyte. Vegetative reproduction occurs by fragmentation and stolon formation. So, vegetative reproduction, it might occur by fragmentation. We know what fragmentation is. There is a thallus and a fragment of it gets broken down, and this fragment will give rise to another plant. Or stolon formation. Stolon formation means there is a branching from the main plant. If we see that this is the main plant, there might be a stolon form and it can give rise to another plant. When the stolon is formed near the plant body, it goes into the soil and give rise to another plant. So, vegetative reproduction can occur by two forms. One is by fragmentation, and the other one is by stolon formation. The sargassum, it is sporophyte. It is a sporophyte. And now, for sexual reproduction, the male and the female receptacle, called as conceptacles, pair antheridia and archegonia, respectively. So, there are some receptacles present. Some receptacles. First is female and the other one is male, and they are called as conceptacles, and they bear antheridia and archegonia. So these conceptacles might bear antheridia. Archegonia is for the female and antheridia is born on the male body. Now, male gametes, they are flagellated. We all know that male gametes are flagellated. The zygote produces the new sporophytic plant body. We know that the plant body of sargassum, it is sporophytic. Okay? Now, antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia will give rise to male gametes that are flagellated. These flagellated male gametes will be carried to the female conceptacles and the formation of zygote occurs. Now, this zygote produces the new sporophytic plant body. Sargassum is used as food, fodder, and fertilizer. Sargassum can be used as a food. Fodder is food for cattle, sheep, whereas fertilizer it is used by the now antibacterial. It can also be used as an antibacterial agent or antifungal by one of its extract that is called as sarganine that is obtained from the Sargassum natans. So sarganine, it is an antibacterial or an antifungal extract that is obtained from Sargassum natans. Okay? So one of the common brown algae that is sargassum, and sargassum it is also called as gulf weed, and it is perennial marine brown algae. You know that. Now, it can either be free floating or it can either be attached to a holdfast. If holdfast is present, so it is going to be attached to the rock. Its size can be varied. It can either be 30 centimeter to 7 meters. The plant body is differentiated into, like all the other algae, it is also differentiated into holdfast, main axis, and laterals. And these laterals, they bear short leaf-like structure that are also called as laterals. And because of the short leaf-like structure, it appears like there is presence of midrib and petiole. And they also carry air bladder, where they carry the air bladder in their axil. And the air bladders, they are called as nematocysts. Now, the sargassum, it is a sporophyte, so it will give rise to spores. And when the spores are produced, the gametes are formed. It will give rise to production of zygote, and zygote will also give rise to a sporophytic plant body. Now, vegetative and sexual reproduction takes place. And vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation or by stolon formation, whereas the sexual reproduction, the male and female receptacle are present, which are called as conceptacles. So these conceptacles, they bear antheridia and archegonia respectively, and antheridia and archegonia produce their respective gametes. And when the fusion occurs, zygote is formed, which gives rise to another plant, which is also sporophytic. Now, sargassum, there are only two use. One that it is used as food, fodder, and fertilizer. Second, it can also be used as an antibacterial and antifungal agent by the sargine, which is obtained from Sargassum natans. Laminaria. Laminaria is also called as devil apron or oarweed. That is 2 meter to 12 meter long marine brown algae. It can be 2 meter to 12 meter long. That means it is not very long. Found attached by basal holdfast, which has root-like branches called as haptra or crampons. So this holdfast, the root-like structure which is present near the holdfast, is called as haptra, or it is called as crampons. The unbranched cylindrical stalk-like part, it is called as stipe. So this there is no branching present and it is cylindrical and stalk-like. So it is termed as stipe. The terminal broad and flattened part of the stipe is called as blade or frond or blade or lamina, may bear numerous hyphae. So they can be numerous hyphae present. Laminaria is a sporophyte. It bears numerous unilocular sporangia. It is a sporophyte, that is why it bears sporangia. The biflagellate zoospores found in the sporangia germinate into filamentous male and female gametophytes, which means that on the body of sporophytic plant there are sporangia present, and these sporangia give rise to flagellate zoospores, and when these zoospores germinate, it will give rise to filamentous male and female gametophyte. And this male and female gametophyte, they bear antheridia, and produce biflagellate male gametes, whereas the female gametophyte bear oogonia, and the young types of laminaria are used as food. So this oogonium gives rise to eggs, and when the fusion takes place, it will give rise to zygote, and this zygote will develop into plant. So, on the sporophytic plant body, sporangia is present. This sporangia gives rise to biflagellate zoospores. Now, when these biflagellate zoospores they germinate, they give rise to male gametophyte and a female gametophyte. And when the male gametophyte it gives rise to antheridia, antheridia has male gametes, and the female gametophyte it has oogonium. So inside the oogonium, eggs are present. When these two fuse together, they form zygote, and by the help of zygote, a new plant body is produced. Now there are some uses of laminaria. So first, laminaria is used as food. Algin is extracted from it, and laminaria is also used as a source of iodine and potassium fertilizer. So it is also used by in the in fertilizer industries and in by extraction of iodine. So the three uses of laminaria are: the laminaria is used as food, algin is also extracted from it, and laminaria is also used as a source of iodine and potassium fertilizer. So laminaria, it is also called as devil apron or oarweed. The size of it varies from 2 to 12 meters. And by the help of a diagram, we can see that in the whole fast, there are some root-like structure present, which is termed as hapra or crampons. There is a stalk-like cylindrical structure present, which we called as stipe, and there is blade-like structure present, which is called as frond. There might be some hyphae also present in some laminaria. Laminaria is the sporophyte, and this sporophyte bears a unilocular sporangia. And this unilocular sporangia gives rise to biflagellate zoospores, which when germinate give rise to male and female gametophyte, and Antheridia and Arpiconia are formed, which give rise to male and female gametes, and then zygote is formed, a new plant body is formed. Now, filamentous male and female, the three important uses of laminaria are that it is used as a food, algin is also extracted from it, and laminaria is also used as a source of iodine or a potassium fertilizer. Pucus. Third important is pucus. So pucus, it is a muddy and brown alga attaining a length of up to 44.5 meters. The plant body is leathery, flat, and branched. We can say that branching is present in the diagram, and the body is usually flat and leathery. It is differentiated into hold-fast type and frond, like all the other algae. Hold-fast type and frond. Frond is a ribbon-like and dichotomously branched. So this frond, it is ribbon-like. That means it is a flat and ribbon-like structure, and it is also branched. Now, paired air-filled nematocysts or air bladders are present at the point of the branching. These provide buoyancy. Whenever there is branching present, there are presence of air bladder or nematocysts. And for what reason these nematocysts are present? It helps. They provide buoyancy. The vegetative propagation in fucus takes place by the fragmentation and adventitious branches. There may be some adventitious branches which can arise from the plant surface, or it can also take place by fragment of a plant body. The vegetative reproduction. The sex organs are formed in conceptacles which bear Antheridian archegony. We know that some receptacles are present on which Antheridian archegonia is present, so it is termed as conceptacles. The fertilization occurs in water and zygote develops into diploid plant body. So when the gametes are formed, fertilization, obviously it is a marine plant, so fertilization is going to occur in water and it will develop into diploid plant body. Fucus is used as fodder and fertilizer and as a source of an algae like laminaria. It has the same function. Now another plant is Dictyota. Dictyota is usually ribbon-shaped, dichomatously branched marine brown alga that grows in shallow water. So the important point for Dictyota that it grows in shallow water. Frond is flat and bears hair and unilocular sporangia. In fucus, the frond was flat, but it bears nematocysts. Whereas in Dictyota, the frond is flat and it bears hair-like unilocular sporangia, which produces haploid tetraspores. So, in which plant tetraspores are found? It is produced in Dictyota. The sex organs are born in clusters. Fertilization produces diploid zygote, which germinates to produce a diploid plant body. And sex organs, they are found in clusters, and when fertilization occurs, it produces a diploid zygote. Very obvious, the zygote is always diploid. Diploid zygote is formed, which germinates and produces diploid plant body. We can see that in Dictyota diagrams, type and frond, but absence of air bladder. Okay? So this is a differentiating feature from fucus and Dictyota. So we have discussed about four common brown algae. The first one was sargassum, the other is laminaria, fucus, and then Dictyota. Now, some economic importance of brown algae. First is food. Laminaria and Alaria, macrocystis, and sargassum are eaten in certain parts of Europe, America, and Japan. Food obtained from the laminaria and saccharina is known as kombu. It is rich in carbohydrates. Alaria yields salmon. It is consumed in Japan. So mostly these plants they can also be used as a food, and the example of which are Laminaria, Alaria, macrocystis, and sargassum. Laminaria, Alaria, macrocystis, and sargassum, which are eaten in certain part of Europe, America, and Japan. And fodder, sargassum, and laminaria, fucus, they are also used as fodder for cattle and poultry. The source of iodine, we know that it was fucus and the source of iodine and potassium, that is fucus and laminaria, rich sources of iodine. Potash is obtained from macrocystis and neurocystis. Can also be used as fertilizer and manures. Macrocystis and neurocystis, there are fertilizers and manures in farmland near the coast. So they can also be used as fertilizers. Medicines, some brown algae can also be used for medicinal purposes, such as ascophyllum and laminaria yield antibiotic-like substances. Fucus and laminaria are used in the preparation of goiter medicine. Extract of Derbiella has vermifuge. That is, a kind of a substance which is a repellent for worms. So it is called as vermifuge. So extract of Derbiella, it has vermifuge property. Sodium laminarin sulfate obtained from laminaria is a blood anticoagulant. For the medicinal purposes, laminaria is important because it has sodium laminarine sulfate, which acts as a blood anticoagulant. Alginic acid keeps kelp, such as laminaria, sargassum, fucus, and macrocystis yield alginic acid. Alginic acid, it is a polysaccharide and a constituent of phycocolloid, which is used in thickening. So there are some uses. Some can be used as a thickening, which is in baking industry, paint industry, rubber industry, and pharmaceutical preparations. It is also used in making ice creams, jellies, shaving cream, shampoo, sizing textiles, and paper. Spraying through plastics can also be produced safety glasses and in making pills, ointments, and surgical threads. Now, menace to shipping, sargassum and ectocarpus can get entangled with the lower part and slow down the speed of the ship. So some grow on the woodwork of the ship and cause serious damage to corroding. So it can also cause some disadvantages to the shipping industry, whereas otherwise it is very helpful. The brown algae are very helpful in most of the purposes, such as in food, fodder, source of iodine or potash, can be used as fertilizer and manures, has some medicinal purposes of which laminaria is very important because it has sodium laminate sulfate, which can be used as a blood anticoagulant. And alginic acid is also important because it is a polysaccharide kind of a thing which is used as a thickening agent. Thickening agent in baking industry, paint industry, rubber industry, and pharmaceutical preparations. And it can also be used for thickening in ice creams, jellies, shaving cream, shampoos, sizing textiles, and papers. But there is one drawback of all these brown algae because they have a branch filamentous structure, some of them, such as kelps. So they actually slow down the speed of ships, which usually so it caused a menace to the shipping industry. It caused some problematic things to the shipping industry because it actually hampers the speed by which the ships or cargoes are going in the sea. So we have completed brown algae, the characteristics of brown algae, four important common brown algae, and the important functions, economic importance of brown algae. In the next session, we will cover green algae and its important function, its important some common brown algae, and the characteristic features. Thank you so much.